Welcome back to Invincible Pod, probably the best podcast about Invincible on the internet. I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we are back once again with episode 6 of Invincible Season 3. All I can say is I'm sorry.
Right.
When I saw the title on Amazon, I was like, oh God, is there going to be like a Justin Bieber thing in there? Because isn't that just got like a weird auto-tuned loop? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's actually the lyrics. It sounds like it could be.
I don't know. I have zero like Justin Bieber knowledge.
I just can just sort of hear it as a like an earworm. I don't know. It's old. I don't know. But we didn't. We did get a needle drop that made me go, "Fuck's sake! Are they just making this show specifically for you and me?"
Yeah.
I was like,
so can I just say, you sent me a thing. You're like, oh, I know what the needle drop's going to be this week, and the first thing that popped into my mind was, oh shit, they're playing Beck. There's going to be Beck on the show because I can't think of any other like person that I listen to that would be on the show
that we've talked about and like we both have like we both are fans of and things like that, like the Beatles, but that doesn't really come up on this, whereas like you and I have talked about Beck. But like there's like, as you've said, you don't listen to much like music, you listen to a lot of scores and soundtracks and stuff like that, so I know how much of a fan of Beck you are, and as soon as I heard it I was like, this is deep cut Beck. This is from Gurulito. This is like a cool remix of Hell Yes. And I was like, hell yes, I love this. And I like Gurulito is one of my favorite Beck albums. I think it's really, really good. So as soon as I heard it, I was like, yep, using that.
That's like the one Beck album that's like easily accessible that I don't have, like as far as vinyl.
Oh, okay.
I could get it.
I've got Guru. I don't have Gurulito. I don't think.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah.
It's available. It's available on vinyl over here.
Nice. I'm sure it is over here as well. I've got a few Beck albums. I don't have all of them.
Yeah, I don't have all of them. Some of them go for an arm and a leg. Midnight Vultures is like easily north of $300, and it's my least favorite Beck album.
There's the like.
I don't like it.
No, it doesn't surprise me that you don't like it. That's like it's too much of a. It's too radio friendly. Like,
what's funny is like it's like Stevie's favorite.
Yeah.
And so it's like a point of contention, but I'm like, hey, if you want to get it, great. Like if they do a re-release, which they got to start doing re-releases because like the information is like $800.
Well, I love the information.
I love it, but they didn't make a lot of them.
No.
So
I tell you what, it might be. I went and cleared out the loft of my old house. That's why there's more boxes back here, and loads of poster tubes. Because of all the art that I've not put up, I keep all the poster tubes. But I found my boxes and boxes of CDs and my wallets of CDs from when I first started DJing, and everything went into CD wallets. But at the time, I was like, oh, one day I'll want to have them all out and put them all back in cases and stuff. So I've got boxes of cases. I don't want any of it anymore, but
I did it like 6 months ago. I did that exact thing. I went through a giant bin and got all the CDs, put them all in the right boxes, put them in this we have this kind of like wicker sort of shelf thing with a CD player that works, and we made a little corner in sort of our dining room area. We don't really dine there, but we use that as an extra space for Stevie's office and stuff. And so there's this nice little area that has all the CDs and the CD player. I mean, since you're like setting everything up, I highly recommend just maybe go through it and try it, because it's not bad putting on a CD. It really is.
I've got records for that though. I've got the vinyls and stuff, and I digitized when I was still like doing it professionally. I digitized everything that I had, just so that I'd have it, and so I'm not relying on cloud services and things like that. I've got Apple Music. I love Apple Music, but I don't rely on it. If there's something that I've loved, I probably own it, unless it's come out in the last 10 years or so. But like I probably own a version of it. So I did open up one of the boxes of the cases because I was just like, is there anything in here that I haven't put, like haven't ripped at some point? The first thing right on the top was the information with that cover where it came with the sticker sheet and everything like that. And you sort of like, came with the posters, and you made your own posters, make your own cover. And I was like, this is great. This is such a good album. So I've been listening to
I like
that.
the information.
Yeah, I've been listening to that album just like on my phone like a lot in the last week or two.
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't know.
I'm saying if you have a CD player, I say make a little CD music quadrant. It's pretty rad.
Dude, I've got a kid coming in like a month. I don't have space for things like that.
All right. CD in the kids' room.
Maybe.
CD player in the kids' room. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to learn. You've got to go through the eras like that stuff.
Why? I'm not talking to you. Stop playing my Apple library.
Sorry, was that me?
We're gonna get flagged, but it's playing James Newton Howard.
Of course it is.
It's default. Yeah, exactly. Dude, last year the Apple Wrapped. I was globally. I was one of the top 1,000 listeners of James Newton Howard, and I'm like, that's
awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I was in the top 100 of Ursula 1000. If you get a chance, listen to Ursula 1000.
You need to send me a message. I'll forget it, but yeah.
Yeah.
We are 6.5 minutes in, and I don't think we've really mentioned Invincible, other than the fact that on Invincible they listen to Beck.
Yeah. Can I say something? Like, this show is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
It's a very well done show.
Mm-hmm.
This episode was no fun and super fucking heavy.
Yeah.
And it's tough. This is tough. We can talk about it.
I think we have to.
Johnny said, mention Becky and Jack's fate is dark. Jesus. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Powerplex. First of all, I'm like, this has to be Aaron Paul, right? It sounded like Aaron Paul. It was Aaron Paul. Cool.
It was Aaron Paul. Yeah.
Again, and I feel like, I don't know if my memory is slipping, but I do not remember Powerplex at all in the book.
He exists. I think he's just another one of the villains. I'm pretty sure he's just there. He's just another one of these guys. We don't know anything like this about him. We might get some monologue. Like maybe we get you and your father, like your fight killed my sister or something like that. Like we might have got that as like the start of it, but we were seeing it from Mark's point of view, I think. If we get that at all. Or it's just a guy that he fights. I am.
Of course, we're going to go. People in the comments are going to be like, yeah, it was in issue 53. How could you not forget it? It was a whole book. And I'm like, okay. Like, that seems to happen a lot.
It does. We are very, very fallible. If it did, I don't remember it.
I don't remember it either.
Holy shit. Like, when the episode started and we're following this guy and his sister and his niece, and then the building comes down, I didn't immediately put together because they did show it in the previously on. They showed that bit of the fight.
Oh, did they? I skip it.
Yeah. Well, they pull from things that happened literally years ago for us. So I do watch it because sometimes this episode picks up from stuff that happened in season 1. I'm like, yeah, it's good to have some memory of it. I at first when that happened, I was like, oh shit, is this gonna be like Conquest or someone like that coming in? Are they reshuffling things? Are we getting a big gnarly bad guy invading now and this is just some innocents that get killed? But no, we see Mark and like holding the building up, and we see Omni-Man and everything like that. We realize where we are, and I mean that alone is dark, like super, super dark.
Yeah. It's and I'm like, how long before you realize that it was the arm from season 1? It's like, oh my god, it's the arm. And then Stevie mentioned Batman v Superman. Very reminiscent of the opening of Batman v Superman.
The Affleck, I thought the same thing. Like, I try not to think about that film in the slightest because
I'm fine with the director's cut.
I can't bring myself to do it. But that opening, like, is really good. It's really interesting. It's a really cool perspective, and you get the scale of it. Like, that's what that film did at the beginning there, and that's what this does. You get the scale of what these kinds of fights have on the real people, on the people on the ground.
I'm so glad Jeremy showed up. Jeremy, if you could sound out in the chat, like, Powerplex. Was Powerplex a thing in the books? You read it more recently than we have.
Like,
and we don't remember powerplex.
I remember the character, and I remember like the design with the pads and stuff, but I don't think we get any of this.
The concept of him only gaining his powers by being like jostled around or hit, and no matter how hard you hit him, it's more of an advantage the harder you hit him. I mean, he's asking if we knew that was going to be powerplex's family in season 1. I don't know.
I don't.
We didn't. No. We have no recollection.
We didn't. I don't think that they had planned for that. I think maybe they went when they had the arm. I think they were probably like, we could probably use this. We can come back to this at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know if they necessarily thought, let's do that and make that powerplex.
I would love to see the writer's room wall with like a whiteboard or post-it notes or something.
Things that are left open.
To see, well, not only that, but like I want to see if that wall, how it looks in season 1 as opposed to like how it will look for like season 5. Or has it always been the same? Have they been really like tracking this stuff?
Jeremy confirms exactly what I said. I thought probably was the case, where his family is mentioned in his backstory as dying in the Mark Nolan fight, but that was it. So yeah, am I right, Jeremy, that we get it more from like Mark's perspective, and that powerplex is just like ranting and raving, like, you know, blaming Mark essentially for what happened. I feel like that is right. He works at the Pentagon,
but again, that's what's great about this season. This season is all about the sort of fallout of Angstrom Levy being killed by Mark.
Yeah.
And teaching Oliver to be better and not do things like killing the Maulers, to hold back, to not let his emotions get the better of him. And Mark has already been tested with Immortal in that same thing. And here he is again now. Like with Immortal, he was just like pushed to the brink, and Immortal was asking for it, and Dropkick and the other guy, Fight Master, like were in peril. So it's like he was trying to save them, and so it's pushed to the brink. This episode is a villain that is directly been affected by what Omni-Man and Mark did. And it's again Mark doing everything in his power to hold back and not kill this guy.
Yeah,
it's like the lesson of the season.
It's like the biggest note that I wrote down was accountability, and that's what this season is. It's the responsibility and accountability of your actions, good and bad. Like, and on both sides of that.
For Kirkman and the writers to be like, how can we expand on this idea of accountability? It's like, well, let's look through the roster.
Yeah.
Here's Powerplex. Who had one line or whatever amount of time he was giving in the comics. Let's flesh that out. But then the centered around a whole episode is crazy. Like, you're really following these guys. They brought in Kate Mara and Aaron Paul. Those are like
big names,
real actors. They're like they're known for their dramatic work.
I didn't realize it was Kate Mara as well. That's nuts.
I think that's what it said.
I believe it.
I looked at them. I tried so hard not to pause and look at the X-ray
because we were watching it last night. I can do that if I'm watching it on my own, but I won't.
A second run through I think would be good.
Yeah,
and we knew the name of the song. Not the song at the beginning, but we knew the
Because there was one earlier on that I wrote down because I was like, oh, is this going to be the only song that we get, which was "Take It All" by Helena Deadland. And I was like, oh, I could use this. It's a bit somber, it's a bit slow. But then as soon as Beck came on, I was like, oh, nope, sorry, that's the one that we use.
Well, so here's the thing: like, have we had a needle drop for Robot yet? This is the first needle drop specifically for Robot.
Probably. And the fact that they use like the 8-bit version, like, it's great.
But as his story progresses, will we get more Beck? Like you were saying, like the Mauler twins have like a specific
Run the Jewels. They use Run the Jewels like as their band essentially, like definitely. So if Run the Jewels soundtrack Maulers, if Beck soundtracks Robot, it fits. Like it just like Rudy seems like someone who would listen to Beck. Robot is like it's all the synthesizer stuff that Beck likes to use. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Something to watch, something to keep track of if we get more Beck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll know.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah, we're not gonna miss a Beck needle drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as they did a couple of weeks ago with Tether Tyrant, where you're getting more and more depth with these villains, and it just makes them go from like comedy bad guys that are just there as a sight gag more than anything else in the books, with maybe a couple of lines that hint at something deeper, to really, really fleshed out and like sympathetic villains. Like they are all sympathetic.
Which is nuts. So once this series is over, maybe at the end of the season, I'll go and I'll reread Invincible. But it's going to be weird reading it with these throwaway characters. There's just Kirkman has a list of puns, character names, and I'm sure Otley and Walker just go in and just like create the character, and they just fill the background with these guys. Am I going to be like sad?
I think there's some as well that like they come from the art team. Like I could absolutely see Corey Walker or Otley drawing the elephant, and then the Kirkman just goes, yeah, that guy's hilarious. Absolutely, let's use him. Like,
but
yeah.
So it's like crazy that you have a comic book that has over 140 issues, and there's like somehow they're able to spend more time doing character development in this like 8 episode season show.
But I saw someone push back on a point that I hadn't heard. They were pushing back on the idea that some people would have complained about episodes this like the last couple of weeks, saying that they felt like quote unquote filler because they weren't pushing the main story with the Viltrumites or anything like that. I
said it last week.
Yeah, but like I
want to see Engstrom, I want to see Nolan, and I was like, but yeah, this stuff's still important. Like,
but that's it. It's like, and there's a point that's come up, and they were pushing back on it because they were saying like, character development can never be filler. If you are using this time to develop a character, to further a character's motivations, who they are, then it's like definitively not filler. It might not be pushing that story forward, but you're still developing the character, and that character is the title of the show. So yeah,
the whole use of accountability. This is exactly the theme of this season. Mark, devastated that he killed Engstrom. He's gonna get a second shot. He's gonna come face to face with this guy again.
Yeah,
and the guy's gonna be stronger.
Yeah, this one already looks scarier. Like he's looks more like a supervillain as opposed to a scary smart guy. Yeah.
So like that's gonna be like the whole crux of the season finale is, what does Mark do? Mark gets a second chance at this guy. Is he going to treat it like there's nothing I can do? I have to do what I did with Immortal? Or is there something I can do where it's like a powerplex thing where I can like just do whatever I can to get them subdued and like put in a cell or something?
Yeah.
And so like this episode is like, that's what this is about. This is the other choice. This is the doing everything you can to not kill this guy.
I think it's going to come down to how much of a threat are Eve, Oliver, and Debbie under. If Eve, Oliver, or Debbie are under mortal threat, like in mortal danger, I don't think Mark can hold back. I don't think he will. I don't think he's got it in him. I don't think he's got that level of restraint. I think he will do anything to protect those three in particular. Others to some extent, but those three, I don't think he holds back. I think he would kill anyone. I think if it was our Immortal, if it was Rudy, if it was anyone, like he would. I don't think he'd feel good about it. I think he would hesitate maybe, but he would still do it.
Right.
Right. there's a lot in this episode. We talked about how like much of a bummer this episode was, and how it wasn't any fun. It's also the funniest joke in all of the show. It was in this episode. I laughed my ass off to the point where I had to pause the episode because when they did the invincible pop in the middle of the episode, like they don't do it the first time. You're ready for it. They're building up to saying the word invincible, and it's the first time it's been said in the episode, so you know you're going to get the title. And I feel like as an audience now, we are so far in and we're so used to it that we're expecting it, and then they don't do it, and then they do it a dozen times in the span of about a minute and a half, and it kept going and it kept cracking me up. It might be because I was very, very tired, but I was losing my shit. It was the funniest thing.
It was tough for me because the story was so heavy up until that point and continued to be heavy. And I'm like, really, Kirkman? Like, this is where you're going to pull this gag? And I'm just like, all right. But I am glad that they finally did the final one.
They held it, and then they got the flicker, and we got the full thing.
It's ballsy. I guarantee you they had like discussions on whether to do that or not.
But I think it was so... It was the levity that you needed at that point, because
it was the only levity in the whole
episode. The only levity in the whole episode, absolutely. Apart from maybe Oliver and the elephant. That comes at the beginning, like after the first initial hit of like, oh fuck, we're in the heaviest episode ever. And then we get that in the middle just to be like, we're still the same show. Right. But it encapsulates what also, Invincible does. It'll be brutal and then so sweet and charming and funny.
That's the thing, is it's almost like Kirkman's like, just do it. Listen, if people are upset that this interrupts any sort of like drama that I'm building, we got more drama later on.
Yeah, don't worry. We're gonna get it dark again.
Don't worry, it's gonna get there. Oliver fighting the elephant was a lot of fun. I always liked the elephant. It's a stupid design, which makes me happy
rhino,
because
isn't it? Yeah,
it's a ripoff of the rhino, and it just shows you how stupid the rhino is. And like, I love. It's not. I feel like it's not making fun of Rhino, but it's definitely like they're like, we can be ridiculous as like, this is what you're getting with the other guys.
Yeah, we know what level of
this is what you get from Marvel. Yeah, is this? And I think the Rhino was just in Kraven the Hunter. I saw some like
apparently
some VFX stuff on it, and I'm just like, oh, like don't do the Rhino.
Jeremy mentions Shapesmith made him chuckle too. Yeah, we got some Shapesmith.
Big episode for Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, totally.
Big episode.
There was a fear that he was dead at one point. Like
they called him dead.
Yeah, they called it. As soon as they called it, I was like, oh shit, have they done it? Have they killed Shapesmith?
And for me, I'd be like, probably, because he's not important in the story.
Now that his story has played out, but like he's just there, and so to kill the funny guy would be something that they would do in an episode like this.
He's so good.
Yeah,
he's so good. This is like, again, he's been trying to get Plastic Man for years. I assume James Gunn watches Invincible. I assume that James Gunn's into it.
I hope so.
And I feel like this would be a great sort of audition.
Demo tape, yeah.
Like, if he just fucking shows up in Superman, like, I would be so happy. I would be so happy. Just put him in there. You can put anybody in there. You have Guy Gardner in there for sake. Like, like Ben Schwartz in the red with the little crisscross laces and the glasses. Like, no one would be upset if he was just like at Justice League headquarters on the satellite. Like,
yeah.
Just have him there. And then what happens is people are like, oh man, I'm here for Plastic Man. And then next thing you know, they're like, they want a movie. Like, just put him in. Yeah.
There's no reason not to if they're doing things like the Justice League headquarters up there.
He's literally playing Shapesmith like Plastic Man, but just sort of out of touch with
Absolutely, he's
being a
not
human.
aware. Yeah, he's so
Yeah.
alien. But it's
Yeah.
great fun. It's so fun. There's another dinner scene. We get Paul has made dinner for everyone. Um, he's super awkward, but like he's trying hard. He's cool with being at dinner with three very superpowered people and Debbie, and like I feel like everyone around that table knows they're like, this
He
isn't
wants so
interesting.
bad. He wants so bad for everybody to accept him. He feels inadequate because he's the only one not a superhero.
Yeah,
But Debbie tells him, like, I'm not a superhero. Like, that's not the point.
yeah.
And
You're
it's
you're
really
a good
fun that
person. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
he's really interested in how they do things. Like, he found out about Invincible Ink and was just like curious about that. Like, he's like thoughtful, and
Trying to
he's
relate,
supportive.
to it. He's like, yeah,
He's such a fish out of water, and it's like kind of like getting in his head a little bit too much. And
yeah.
I love when they're all like leaving, and he's like, "We got to get going. We're not, you're not teleporting, are we?"
Oh, we're
Like all
taking the
that
car.
stuff, and they're like, "No, we're taking the car." Like that stuff was really good. I mean, but he's still like he doesn't he doesn't trust them. He's in the car and he's freaking out. He's surrounded by three superheroes
Yeah.
who are like,
All of us just dicking around. Like it's the equivalent of the kid playing around in the back of the car, but he's just flying
yeah,
around in his suit. Like, yeah.
yeah.
Um, it's so good. It's so good.
I like the character. I don't remember him much from the book. Again, I gotta stop saying that. People are just
Yeah,
gonna like
he's there.
there are podcasts out there that cover Invincible the show and don't read the book. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know why I
He's
keep
he's
saying
in
that,
there,
but
and it'll be the same with this. Like at the point where we start to like go, oh, he's a nice guy. Like he'll probably drop out of the story. Like I
yeah,
expect that. But then there is another character who drops out of the story in the comics who is back and is definitely a much bigger deal in this, and that's Amber. Like there is
yeah,
more Amber story in the comics. She does come
right,
into it every now and then, but like as we said last time we saw her this season, like you got Zazie Beats, you're gonna want to use the character. She's been a main character for the last two seasons. You don't really
yeah,
want to get rid of her completely. And the two of them broke up in a really healthy way. Like, and
yeah,
they have a real affection for each other. They were together for a reason. The relationship didn't work out, but they still care about each other. And they're the fact that they're both really happy for each other so
yeah.
quickly is really sweet. It's really a
You don't see that in
mature.
TV shows.
No, it's a
TV
mature,
shows try to
especially like,
find conflict wherever they can.
especially like shows about like 19-year-olds. It's like that you're
Yeah,
not gonna get that. This isn't like Dawson's Creek or like any of those shows where it's like, oh no, now we're broken up, now we hate each other, now we can never talk. It's like just get over it. Like people can break up amicably and be friendly with each other. It's like it can happen, and
yeah,
these kids are kids in 2025. Like they're probably better than we were at that age. Like so, yeah, it's good. It's nice to see. There was where was it? There was a comment a bit further up about that. Yeah, from Jeremy. There we go. Do we think, without saying, they'll continue his storyline? Probably. I mean,
mhm,
I could see it. I could see him doing it in the show because it's something that happens in the book, and it's a way of keeping that character around. And we've got that character around in here. It's all changed up a little bit, but that wouldn't surprise me. Um,
yeah,
yeah, the fact that
yeah,
he is very similar to Mark is funny. Like, and the fact that Amber and Eve sort of share that look, and he's like, "Yeah, I've got a type."
yeah.
You
The
know,
science dog of it all,
yeah,
or
yeah. She
seance dog.
Seance dog in this, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of leaving,
Mm.
Ray.
Yeah,
Ray wants out.
another character with a lot more to do in the show, and she is saying that she's quitting. I'm so
What is he
scared for
doing
Ray.
with this character? What is he doing with this
So
character?
so scared for Ray. I don't want her to be killed, but I feel like it's coming.
I could give a shit about Ray in the books.
Yeah.
Ray is not a non-character. They're making Ray in the show like there's a lot of story time dedicated to Ray and Rex.
More so than Robot and Monster Girl in this season. Like this season, we've got way more of like we get some of that in this season, in this episode, which is good. But there's way more Rex and Ray than there is Rudy and Amanda this episode. This season, sorry. Yeah.
I don't know where it's gonna go. So I guess that's exciting.
It's fun.
I don't want to see this two-dimensional series of drawings hurt. It's so funny how invested I am in these characters, and it's like it's basically a cartoon. Like it's just really well done. I don't know. I wish I had some sort of like speculation on what can happen. I mean,
Lucha Johnny mentions
happens to Rex.
Maybe. Lucha Johnny mentions that the government bought Rex from his parents. Yeah, we've heard that a couple of times now. Like they've talked about his backstory. That is from the books. I think we learned that in the Eve and Rex special issues and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's fucked up. Like everyone's got bad parents apart from Debbie, who is just the best. She's the ultimate parent.
And maybe that's why this is the only Invincible or version of Mark that didn't accept Omni-Man's thing.
Yeah, that could be a very good reason.
So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
she's definitely a linchpin in this story.
Yeah. She's great.
And like obviously, this Omni-Man is Mrs. This Debbie.
Yeah.
So.
And it makes sense why these versions are the versions that are our hero versions. It's an infinite galaxy out there, infinite universes and stuff. I'm sure that there are other good ones out there, but none like this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, jumping ahead right to the end to the post credits where we see Angstrom. We mentioned him earlier on, looking even more evil. We get the full reveal of him now. And we see the marks. We see all of the marks. We see the iconic like one with the mohawk and everything like that.
Mohawk. I need to go back and rewatch it. I didn't pause it. I should have, because the thing is, I watch it.
Yeah,
I watch it and then I get up and I'll come and just do the artwork and get the studio up and running. And I never like go back.
Yeah, Lucha Johnny apparently posted a screenshot to the Discord. So if you're on the
awesome.
Secret
I will
Society,
go. I'll just go. I can go grab it right now, and
there you go. Oh, perfect.
I can look at it on the show.
Awesome. Yeah, let's see if we can identify all the marks. Like I remember, I think when before Jonathan Majors was revealed to be a horrible person, and they did like the Council of Kangs in that Ant-Man movie, like people were pausing that, and I was like, this is way more interesting. I mean, we talked about it like this series doing the multiverse thing, like. Invincible's doing it so much better than Marvel is, and I feel like it's just coincidental that they're doing this part of this story of Invincible around the same time as Marvel were trying to do their stuff and mostly falling on their face while doing it. Here you go.
Here we go.
There you go. There's the marks.
I like on the far left the Omni-Man colors.
Yeah.
There's a Mark with a mustache. He's
full
got his
Viltrumite. So like pure Viltrumite, Omni-Man, beat up with the glasses. There is that just behind him, like still got the goggles. I can't tell.
He just has the goggles cut out.
Yeah, the one behind with the like button-down version of it.
Yeah, I do like the blue
with the black
one
mask,
with the full face mask. I like that.
Yeah, it's like undercover.
Yeah, it looks like almost like Spider-Man, but.
Yeah,
I like that look.
You got a mustache list.
The goggles are so funny. Oh yeah, there's a mustache list.
Viltrum like looking one. The black and yellow is cool. Cape. Like the black and yellow in the middle there. That's a good look.
The cape, yeah.
Yeah.
I think I prefer that over the black and blue.
Maybe. Definitely looks darker. Like it looks like more sinister.
Yeah.
Kirkman and Image at this time loved the cloth mask, like just cloth, like Bandito. If any pro wrestling fans are out there, like that mask look like where it's not a full like face hugging mask. It's just the cloth like draped in front that like would flap around, I guess. There was
like
someone
Green
else.
Hornet.
Yeah, it was Green Hornet was doing it. There was a few other image books around this time that had.
Yeah, who's the dude? Was
it.
his name Craven? Was the dude? He had a red mask.
Yeah, I can't
What
remember.
was that dude's name?
I can't remember.
There's a mark that looks like he's in like tech jacket type of gear.
Yeah,
like it's
that
not
does.
even an
That
invincible
does
suit.
look like Tech Jacket.
And then there's one right next to him that has like an alien.
Looks like or Deadpool, like he's all burnt up, all scarred up or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
and there's a bulletproof outfit in the very back.
Oh, is that bullet? Oh, yeah. I guess
it's got the discs like bulletproof.
Yeah,
it's just not the orange.
It's similar. Yeah, and then we've got like Mullet Mark up front, who I don't know. There's something about that posture and the way he stood. He almost looks like a Family Guy like character or something like that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks very, very punchable.
But what's great is they're still coming down the ramp. It looks like so we may possibly get more.
We're getting more. I mean, we didn't talk about we talked about him earlier, but Mohawk Mark there, like that's. I feel like we know that he's the dude. Like if you're gonna put one as your main punching bag, who's going to be the biggest threat? It's that guy right there.
Yeah.
Though maybe Mustache Mark, I could see being a big threat too.
Yeah.
A lot of power in those mustaches. So do we think that we're getting that next week? Can we get 2 episodes of Invincible War?
Well, we have 1 episode. We have 2 more episodes left, episodes 7 and 8. I don't know. I have no idea. I did not expect a full powerplex episode today. No. Like I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm in for it. It's very good. But yeah, I don't know what we're getting. I have no idea.
I don't, and I love that. I don't know where this season ends. I feel like it ends in and around the Invincible War, probably just after they get through it all. But we've got to check back in with Nolan and Alan. Like we've got to follow up.
I mean, do we?
I think we only need one more. I think one more.
Do they come save the day? Save the day in Invincible War?
No, I don't think so. I think Jeremy Kelly's got an idea. He's our man in the field. I think 1.5, and then we have to worry about conquest of the planet. Yeah, I think because that's immediately following. So
I think conquest would be a post credit.
Ooh, maybe
at the end of the series, at the end of the season,
or just him arriving and just be like, "I'm here. It's time."
Yeah.
Like, and that's a good sort of cliffhanger to go out on if they end on a cliffhanger. I think before Nolan gets back to Earth, we get Nolan going to the Coalition of Planets. I believe that's right. So I think that's like, if we're going to get one more scene with them, it would probably be them there and him having a conversation.
So it'll be them post credit maybe next week, and then the following week Invincible War.
I think we get Invincible War next week as well. I think we get the start of it, and then it carries on into 8, finishes up in 8.
Or it'll be a whole episode about how Elephant feels slighted about just being used as a training tool.
He was there. He could hear them, guys. Like, it's just not being nice.
I love the sound when he got punched and made the elephant sound.
That
was good.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Just how much he knows. Like, now he knows that he's the training wheels essentially of all these guys. It's like, it's just mean. The big brother little brother relationship between the two is played really well though, where he's like, doesn't matter what Mark says, he's gonna push back against it. Eve can say almost exactly the same thing but just slightly differently, and he's like, okay, cool, that's a great idea, well done. It's like, that's gonna be how it is. You're the authority figure.
I like that he's into Burger Mart. Oliver's into Burger Mart. And when we learned that he's got like a photographic memory, so he remembers Nolan.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
He remembers everything. He remembers his mum very clearly. That's all from that side of him. Really interesting stuff. It makes him.
He's a real champion for Nolan. He really is on Nolan's side.
Yeah, like at the memorial was really interesting. It stressed me out that those names were not ordered in any way, shape, or form. Like they weren't alphabetized, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to look to see if there's any names that I recognize, any like
I tried.
creators. There wasn't anyone. It could
One
be
was
people
like
behind the
said, one
scenes.
was called like just Jason. Like it said just Jason.
That's good. I like that.
So I'm like, I don't know, or I don't know who that was. I was looking for like Cinna Grace or FCO or
anyone.
like anybody.
I saw someone who like the initials could have been FCO, but I'm just like I don't know if that's FCO's real name or anything like that. They've just always been FCO Palancencio or whatever it is.
Like maybe it's names from everybody who wrote into Invincibles.
That would be amazing.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Or they just went through the crew and said, like, throw in some names that you want to put in there.
Your
like,
kids.
Give us some.
Yeah.
Give us your family and friends and anyone that you want to shout out. We've got a ton of space to fill here. Because they didn't.
And they filled it.
They filled it. None of it was like just classic animation background text.
Yeah.
They were all there.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't take my eyes off of it. But there was no structure to it at all. And I was like, if this was a real memorial, you would spend the rest of your life trying to find your loved ones on there. Like you would never find it.
Yeah.
But that memorial service is something that I don't remember from the book. And I don't like the fact that it gives weight to everything that happened. Where it's like, we are not going to let you forget what happened a year ago. And it's only been a year. So while Mark sort of is coming to terms with his dad and he's sort of semi-reconciled a bit with him, he's like, I don't know, it's tough. It's really tough. Like he's struggling with it because he's seen what Nolan's done immediately afterwards, but he knows the weight that it carries back on Earth. And
it's not making things easy for his return at all.
No, not at all. Oliver sort of understands it, but he can't. He wasn't there, and it doesn't hit him the same way, so he can never fully comprehend. Whereas you've got three sides of it. You've got someone like Debbie, who at the moment would be like, "Fuck that guy!" Like royally, I don't want anything to do with him. He's a piece of shit. He told me I was a pet. That's like he's absolute no. You've got Oliver, who's like, okay, I get that you guys all hate him, but he was my dad. He showed me nothing but love, and like he was really good for my planet and my people. Like he was everything that he once was to you.
Yeah.
And then you've got Mark, who's like, like, oh, this is true and this is true. And then Oliver hits him with the point of, what about up until then? It's like, is there a, and Mark has exactly the right answer. It's like, it's not a 1-for-1. You can't trade lives like that. You can't go, he saved 100,000, so he's able to kill 10,000. It doesn't, those checks don't balance like that with lives.
But Mark is reminiscing about the good times when he was
still
that
remembers.
age.
He still remembers that, and he's training him the same way that he was trained. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough.
Well, the thing that also one of the things is, I mean, Nolan's gonna return. He's gonna return. Mark has already talked to him since the events of Chicago.
Yeah,
Mark's already hung out with him. That's why we have Oliver.
They fought side by side again. Like,
yeah. Debbie hasn't seen him since.
No.
And I'm wondering how Oliver will. I mean, I would love to see this conversation with Oliver and Debbie.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. I feel like Debbie would just shut it down because, I mean, she knows that Mark has talked to him. She knows that Mark is conflicted about the whole thing. And she knows that Oliver, who is ostensibly her son now that she has adopted and loves and is raising, she knows.
I'd like to see the conversation.
Yeah,
that happens. I hope it happens before Nolan returns at some point. I would love to see this conversation.
The fact that almost every time we spend any amount of time with Oliver, he's bringing it up, makes me think that there is a chance that we get it. And the show is giving time for things that we wouldn't normally get time for. So you never know. Hopefully. Jeremy Kelly mentions that the Vietnam Memorial isn't in alphabetical order. He thinks it's chronological. That would make sense. Single event would make less sense. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
It stressed me out as a viewer. maybe like everyone who's got a loved one on there gets sent a ping on a map or something. I don't know.
You want to talk about Powerplex is ending? Jesus Christ. Like
holy. Just everything about Powerplex. I don't feel equipped to talk about the weight of that. Like it's gnarly. And like the fact that his wife is fully on board with him the whole time. Like she is as complicit in that as he is.
And almost pushing him further. Like at one point
he wants to quit. He's out. He's like, we can't do it. We can't win.
He's not showing up.
Yeah.
But
like then once they get the pads and stuff, and she's hitting him with that sledgehammer and powering him up, it's like
she's hitting him in the face. He jumps off a building. Like he's like
just
And it's interesting having a villain that can't get punched. It only makes them stronger, no matter how hard you punch them.
It's such a good concept for a villain for people like Mark and like the Viltrumites, who their thing is they can hit people very, very hard. Like that is what they do. It's
Johnny. When she spits in Mark's face, I legit gasped.
Yeah.
We knew it was coming, but like, dude, it's rough. And like he tried to save him. Mark went over to save him, and Powerplex got in the way, and it was just like, holy crap! Just seeing like, and it's that thing they do in like Ren and Stimpy and stuff, or SpongeBob, where they'll do like a single panel close up, and it's like super detailed and gross.
Yeah,
like the art design for the fried corpses was like super fine detail, and they look super realistic and disturbing, and I was like, Jesus Christ, like this is fucked up. And probably one of the reasons why I don't remember Powerplex in the book, because I feel like I would have remembered this. And I don't know, I feel like Mark may have learned something in this where like maybe there is a breaking point where you have to end someone's life to protect somebody else's.
You can't save everyone. Like, part of being a hero is making those tough decisions. Like that's the accountability. That's still part of it.
But that's the problem. It's like, who's he to decide? Like what, like how he's just essentially has to grow more and hone his skills to a point where he can avoid this from even happening.
Yeah, if you can preempt it.
He needs to call in the team to take care of, because
clear everyone out while I deal with
episode with the Flaxons. He says, go take care of the people. We'll take care of this. Like he's assigned stuff. He can't do this on his own. He shouldn't be doing this on his own. And I'm assuming that's the lesson he learns in the end of the season is like,
it's the burden of responsibility. It's the burden of responsibility there, because it's like he feels like because he's the biggest, strongest person, he can do it, and he's protecting everyone else by only doing it himself, and he's not putting other people in harm's way. But when you've got people with ability to step in and help, it's more responsible to use them, even if it is just as crowd control or something like that. Like send them out to do that stuff while you take on the physical threat, or at least like get it away from populous areas and things like that. It's like he's got to grow up. He's got the physical attributes now. He got that from Cecil. Cecil helped him train in that way. But when he was doing that with Cecil, he had a guy in his ear who could make the other calls. He's on his own now, him and Eve, and he is making the calls on his own, and he's not ready for that. Like he's not.
He's 20.
If yeah, he's like 19, I think. Yeah. So he's getting there, but he's not there, and I don't know if he can get there on his own. He needs a teacher.
This was a wake-up call for sure.
Everything.
And that conversation in the holding cell was pretty good stuff. And no matter what you say, there's just some people out there that just won't hear it.
Yeah.
And just won't listen to you. I really liked Donald in this episode.
Yep.
I mean, obviously Cecil knows that Donald's talking to Mark, but if that's the way things need to be done, like,
hey, it's that's good though. Like he's still able to get that in there, and it gives Donald some agency, which I think he was feeling like he needed after his revelations last season and everything, like knowing how much of a tool he's been. Giving him a bit of agency into himself is important. And yeah, Cecil was always going to use people when he needs to, but it makes sense. Powerplex, his escape from the truck when he realizes when they go over that speed bump as well, like he's just like, oof, oh, that even just a little speed bump like that is putting a bit of charge into him. And so him hitting his head, it was like that. I don't know what it was. There was something about that felt like really fucked up. And I was like we've all seen people who are going through something and maybe having a bit of an episode or something, and like it's they're not having a good time and they start hitting their head, and it's always upsetting and disturbing to see. And then knowing what he's doing that for and why he's doing that, I'm like, this dude needs therapy. Like, sure, we talked about it last week. All these people just need someone to talk to. Like, superhero therapy in the world of Invincible would make a fucking killing. Like, where's their BetterHelp adverts on every podcast that they listen to?
Right. Yeah, it was just, it was a rough story. And it was crazy that so much time was dedicated to it. I understand why.
It's good. It's really good. I feel like these episodes need to end with if you or any of your loved ones like are affected by or relate to. Like, I feel like every episode needs a card just being like, hey, like, we know that we're not in superhero world, but like there's relatable shit in all of this. Like, it's grief. It's
kind of funny this episode, like if you're like a teenager and you're struggling with any sort of issues as far as relationships go, that this episode has like, here's what a fucked up relationship looks like.
Yeah.
And what happens if you're obsessed with something and you start going down a dark path. But also, here's this other healthy relationship where you get to go bowling. And that can exist too. So it's kind of nice to like show
like friendships, relationships, like parental relationships. It's a lot of it. It's what the show's doing excellently. It's giving us the darkness, it's giving us the levity, it's giving us the fucked up dark relationships that it's making a murderer. Essentially, it's like everyone is the root cause of their evil, and we're getting it, and then we're getting to see nice versions of that, like helpful and happy. And what happens when you are William's boyfriend, what's his name?
Rick.
Yeah, well, like Rick, he's gets help after his trauma. He could have easily turned into a bad guy. Like he could have easily like been another bad guy because of everything that happened to him. But it's like, no, I've got a support structure that is here for me. And he turns out, and he's just a good dude. He's just a nice person who likes bowling, and probably not as much as William, because it seems like no one likes bowling as much as William. But
I thought as a Rihanna man that he would be better at bowling. It seemed like Rick wasn't that great at bowling.
I feel like a lot of them are just giving it to William because it's William's birthday and bowling's his thing. He wants to go bowling, so they're like, let him have it.
The little sad animation of like Rick's gutter ball or whatever it was.
It just like hit a like, 1. It's
like nice try or something.
Yeah.
Johnny, yeah, I guess just remind me if you want to be on the show. Remind me, because I think I've got all the artwork set up for season, with the exception of that finale because it came so late. So yeah,
It's
I'll be able to set that up.
2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks today, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks we have the finale. Tomorrow. Next week is the penultimate episode. And I mean, let's go on Invincible War. Let's go with.
Yeah.
I need more Alan and Nolan. Space Racer. Let's get some Space Racer in there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, we could get some
maybe
more.
maybe just get a couple cutaways of just like Battle Beast,
the others,
still fighting that dude.
Or like they find more copies of Nolan's books, and like when they're flicking through them, like maybe Art shows up. He's like, "Hey, I did some digging. I found more copies of your dad's books." And as they're flicking through them, we're getting clips of them around the galaxy. Like, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun way.
Yeah.
And maybe here you go. Here's how you do the scene. This is how you transition. You get Nolan and Alan talking the like to the council, the coalition of planets and everything. Like, I think we can do it. Here's the information. There's only 40 something Viltrumites out there, but we're still gonna need some help. Cut back to Art presenting the books to Mark and to Oliver, and they pick them up and they start like opening the pages, and then we just hear the names. We get the names and we see them out there. Like we get Space Racer, we get Battle Beast, we get this guy, and like, yeah, it's that's a fun way of doing it, and that'd be a nice, like, I don't know, end of an episode, maybe end of that's if you're not gonna end the season on a cliffhanger, that's how you can end the season. Is in that.
Well, Jeremy still wants to see a scene of Battle Beast still floating.
That's the way that you cut to him. Is he's just out there still punching, and like maybe see him rip our head off or something, like, and he's like starts gnawing on the body.
Or Conquest is there. He shows up in the middle of that fight.
Conquest's coming. Conquest is coming.
Yeah.
One of my favorite panels in Invincible, or like favorite sort of scenes in Invincible, involves Conquest, and I don't want to say what it is because it's a spoiler for things that happen. But it involves Conquest. It's very creative and fun. I don't think we've got another show. We don't have a live action Star Wars between now and then. We didn't think we did last week, but there was a emergency drop in the middle because of an Andor trailer.
If you missed that, we did a show on Tuesday. Head over to live action Star Wars and check that out.
Ignore the last bit of it because it's irrelevant. But yeah,
I mean, it's still relevant. I mean,
it's still relevant. I'm still happy with the conversation that we had. But yeah, glad that Kathleen Kennedy hasn't gone anywhere just yet.
And all the same stuff applies as far as,
it does.
People being cool.
We said. Yeah. But Invincible people are generally pretty cool, and like we'll be back next week to talk about Invincible episode 7. We've got the titles for it, but I've not looked ahead of what the titles are, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I've got them all. I've got them all in my art.
Cool. Let's save it. But yeah, unless that's fine. Unless you got anything else, Ralph, I think that's gonna just about do it for this episode. Sweet.
Oh, I can say this. I will say this for those of you that stuck around this long. Today is a economic blackout in the United States.
It's still morning over there as well, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but tomorrow you can spend all kinds of money at gettinglostdoc.com on any of your favorite wherevers. I know you're supposed to give to small businesses. Unfortunately, our little indie film has to go through the corporations to be watched. There is maybe
James
one
Woods
way to watch it.
Is it like the James Woods? Sorry, Ralph, I completely derailed you.
So I would say tomorrow, go to gettinglostdoc.com. And then maybe you can, if you go today, you might also be able to find something that doesn't have to go through a corporation. Cool. Oh, well, I think PayPal still counts, but
I mean, it'll be there tomorrow.
It'll be there tomorrow.
Just like,
but there's a limited edition of this one thing.
But come on,
you can get tomorrow.
Yep,
I'm just
bright
saying.
and early tomorrow. Stay up till midnight and then get it bright and early tomorrow.
Right.
yeah, that's exciting, and everyone should check that out. But not today. Don't do it today, and be cool, and don't give any money to corporations and stuff today. If you can avoid it. Yeah, I'm all for it. It's things like this need to be organized and talked about. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back next Friday for another episode of